But let's bring in the Finance Minister of Kerala, Thomas Issac, for a quick reaction. Mr. Issac, you've heard what my colleague Ashmit has said, and this is the High Court order that's coming from the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court. Your reaction, sir?
I welcome the High Court decision. In fact, Supreme Court has given very clear directions in the 1958 verdict against the Bihar UP legislations. See, there is some economic logic underlying the decision whether to slaughter or not to slaughter. You take Indian history, bovine cattle history. If you take India, despite the holy status given to cow, ever since cattle statistics have been published, the number of cows in India have been much less than the bullocks. Because cows after the fertile period is allowed to die off or given to lower castes for killing. On the hand, the bullocks continue to have the used as draughts animals much longer period. But in the case of Kerala, for my state, the number of bullocks are much lower than cows because we don't use as a draught animal for centuries.
But now, Mr. Issac, does your government intend to... Does your government intend to move courts,
it defies all economic logic. If government bans it, well, then government should outright provide subsidy to all these farmers who are forced to feed uneconomic animals. You cannot impose that burden on me unless you raise the price of the milk at least by 50%. And how can you infringe? How can you try to do something which you cannot directly do through indirectly from the back?
As a state government, sir, what do you intend to do? As a state government, what do you intend to do, sir, now that the centre has issued this notification?
We have made it clear we are not going to implement it in Kerala. Very clear on this. And because it is our right. I think we have got concurrent power on this. And they cannot decide something on this from Delhi. No.
Fair enough, sir. Sir, also joining us on this discussion is, from Chennai itself, interestingly, is Mr. Arvind, Datar, senior advocate. Sir, just speaking of the arguments that have been raised as a part of this PIL, it questions violations of various rights under Article 25, 29, 19, 21, to name just a few. But given the fact that the High Court as of now has accepted this is the first legal impediment that has come the government's way, what is your assessment of this notification and its its constitutionality going forward?
Well, the notification is clearly unconstitutional. It is extremely unfortunate that despite not one but 4 Supreme Court judgments saying that you cannot have a total ban on cow slaughter, on slaughter of all kind of bovine cattle, despite that, this notification has said that you can't sell animals for the purpose of slaughter in animal markets. What is worse is that the definition of animal markets includes slaughterhouses. So this particular rule is completely contrary to not one but 4 Supreme Court judgments. Unfortunately, as early as 1996, 15 years ago also, the Supreme Court said they are extremely pained at the repeated attempts to implement total ban on cow slaughter. So this is completely constitutionally invalid. Apart from the reasons taken in the Madurai bench on Articles 25 and 29, the Supreme Court has held that a large number of butchers who come from the Qurayshi community or the Muslim community, it's their fundamental right to carry on the trade of a butcher's business, and you can't take it away from them. Now, this has been the law laid down by the Supreme Court. Secondly, they said you can ban the slaughter of cows and calves, milch cattle, but you can't have a total ban of all kinds of buffaloes, bulls, bullocks. This is the law laid down from 1959, and I'm shocked to see this notification, and it is so badly drafted, I don't think it will stand the scrutiny in any court at all. Apart from that, they have not taken into account what are the commercial consequences, what happens to the leather trade, what happens to the requirements of beef of almost 18% of our population. That's not been taken into account. And if I may just add one thing, I feel it's unfortunate that, you take these steps which are supposed to be unconstitutional and you systematically irritate the minority communities again and again. For what? For what purpose? It's absolutely, I'm very, very saddened to see this kind of notification being announced suddenly
So just a follow-up question on that. You raised questions about the constitutionality. You're anticipating legal trouble as far as this notification is concerned. Another aspect for discussion, however, is which list does it fall in? State list, concurrent list? That has been a subject matter of discussion before, in fact, the Madras bench itself. And that is one question that will require further deliberation on whether it is the prerogative of the centre to go ahead and to draft such and to come out with these set of rules. Just a question on that. What is your assessment given where this subject finds itself? On the state list, on the concurrent list?
Yes.
Your views on that, sir?
There's going to be a debate on that in court, that because the prevention of cruelty to animals comes in the concurrent list, but animal markets, etc., come in the state list. So now the courts will have to decide whether this is a legislation which is predominantly, is it in pith and substance a legislation to prevent cruelty to animals, or is it in pith and substance a legislation related to animal markets? But frankly, I don't think we need to go there at all, because the law has been laid down, as I said, in 4 Supreme Court judgments. You can straightaway succeed in this matter on the grounds of violating of Article 19(1)(g) completely, and also Article 14, because you have included all cattle, including camels. So I don't know that, without going into this list 1 or list 2 or list 3, it's clear violation of the fundamental rights in Article 19 and 14, and I think that should be sufficient, I think so, to succeed in any court of law, in the High Court or the Supreme Court.
Fair enough, sir. Joining us for more on this is another senior advocate, Mr. KTS Tulsi, who's joining us live. Mr. Tulsi, appreciate you joining us this evening. First question to you right now. Mr. Datar is quite critical of the sweeping nature of the notification, has raised questions about the constitutionality. Your view, sir, do you anticipate more trouble? This is the first piece of, or this is the first order that has come out by way of the Madras bench. Is there an anticipation that more high courts and then eventually perhaps the Supreme Court would need to deliberate on the issue?
Yes, I think that I agree with Mr. Datar that this is clearly unconstitutional, because the preservation, protection, and improvement of stock is provided for in entry 15 of the state list, that is list 2 of the 7th schedule. Now, preservation, protection, and improvement of stock could not have been dealt with under the prevention of cruelty, because preservation, protection, and improvement under the Constitution has been assigned exclusively to the states. So therefore, I think that this center has exceeded the jurisdiction provided under the Constitution, and the notification seems to be unconstitutional. It also appears to me that the notification has been issued knowing that it is unconstitutional, perhaps only to feed the hysteria that has been created in the last couple of years.
Tulsi, it's interesting that you point out the hysteria, as that is one of the arguments that has been raised. That has been one of the arguments that has been raised as a part of the PIL, that perhaps going forward, given the sense, given the mood, this could fuel the rage as far as cow vigilantism is concerned. That is one of the arguments that had been raised. That's one of the arguments that the Madras High Court looked into. Just your thoughts on that.
The underlying purpose may actually be to lionize the vigilante hoodlums and continue to lynch with greater frequency people who are suspected to be carrying one kind of cattle or the other, because the notification is so wide as so as to include all kinds of cattle.